Welcome. There's the sound button. Sound buttons are difficult. Is this thing on? Check. Is this thing on? It's sound guy. Sound. We're good now? We're good? All right, cool. We got a lot of people. There's a lot of tech going on here for this event, So just it was him, but hey, it's okay. Forgive you. I'll dock it from your pay later. No bonus. Whew. Everybody raised their volume in that moment. The stubble is real. It's coming back. It's coming back. Well, as I said before the sound was muted, Mom, pump the mic. That's right. Welcome to episode number 2 of Diablo Dailies. This is Noobie Tuesday. Ooh, it's our first Noobie Tuesday. And today's going to be fun. Today's going to be a little more fun. Because if you go back, yesterday was great. Yesterday was a lot of fun. I had a very good time. We got to introduce. Let me add that image really fast so we can just have it here. Actually, I could just go over, and then we got to introduce Magic Find Monday, which was great for those who didn't see it. The Magic Find Monday challenge is find the highest level rune you can. We've already had multiple submissions, including my own, of course, my own rune. Find the highest rune you can. Send that over to me. And something that I found would just be the easiest way to verify as a timestamp is if you literally just do something like this. You go around, you find the rune. Let's say I kill something, find the rune, and I just type MF Monday 0501. Something like that, right? Boom. Now it's timestamped. So we don't even need it's just so you can prove that you found it within this week. That's all. That's all that we really need there. Regardless. Yeah, so let's go back here. Let's go back to the face. Let's go back to the face. Because we're not quite ready for all that. So with today is the first Noobie Tuesday, and there are so many people, including even from yesterday's comments, that said, just got into Diablo 2 for the first time, loving it, really confused about what to do. Don't understand whatever it is, some basic things, some things like that. So for some of you guys that are going to be here, today especially might be like, why are we having to go through these things? These are obvious, right? Like everybody knows what all the classes are and their strengths and weaknesses, but a lot of people don't. And this won't just be for the people that are just here, but it'll be for all future people all down the line. Anybody who wants to get into Diablo 2. This is going to be a great way to get into Diablo 2, right? And you're gonna get that video. So I know you might be dreading it. You might be like ripping your headphones off, like I hate this. Shut up, Mr. Llama. Do pro videos or whatever it is. But I just bear with me and think about the people out there. Think about that kid in Sweden who just walked up to his dad's cabinet and opened up the drawer and flipped past all of the nudie women magazines because he doesn't care about those, and found that Diablo 2 video game, and he held it up and was like, oh, and then he plugged it in, and he was like, or I guess you don't plug it in, he put it in the computer, and was like, I don't know what to do. And he goes to the YouTube and says, learn Diablo 2, MrLlamaSC. I mean, it's just like, I think, And boom, he finds this video. This is who that's for, Mr. Swedish child. This is for you. So, put in the computer 10 times to install. That's true. If you go old school, you had to have 4 CDs for the installation, because you had the install disc, the play disc, the music and cinema disc, and then your Lord of Destruction disc. And you had to go in and out, in and out, in and... All right, we'll stop with that. So, you are a 33-year-old Swedish child. This is for you, Knox. This is for you. So, with that being said, let us head over. Let us head over here to Noobie Tuesdays, our intro to Diablo 2. Our intro to Diablo 2. So first, what is Diablo 2? And I'm going to talk with the expansion because I didn't want to install Diablo, you know, all that stuff. This is Diablo 2 with its expansion. I'll kind of explain a little bit of what was added in there. But basically, if you're playing Diablo 2 right now, you know what Diablo 2, you're playing D2LOD as well, Lord of Destruction, right? So Diablo 2 is an action role-playing game. Kind of dark fantasy, horror themes, things like that. If you ever played Diablo 1, it's the successor to such, and it was also created by Blizzard North, right? So they created Diablo and Diablo 2. Then Diablo 3 was created by Blizzard, but not by that Blizzard North team. That was a separate team. So that's why you might see differences between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, whereas Diablo 2 and Diablo 1 kind of pair together better. So anyways, the story progresses where you are some sort of hero and you are progressing through 4 acts in the game. And with Lord of Destruction, there is a 5th act that was added as well, right? So you go through the wilderness, the desert, the jungle, down to hell, and then into some icy plains, essentially. So there are 5 acts in the game, and there are 3 difficulties, which all contain those acts. Okay, there's probably a whole story. We did a story run. If you want to watch the story run, it's on my YouTube. I'm a play guy, not as much a story guy. Whenever I'm in a game and I get to somebody talking, I click through it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I go, where do I need to go? And people are like, if you just listen to what he said. But, you know, you guys know when Deckard Cain starts talking, it's just, yeah, whole thing. So regardless, there are 5 acts and 3 difficulties: normal, nightmare, and hell. Each of these difficulties will, as it sort of suggests, increase the difficulty as you go along. And there is actually a very substantial difference between each of them, especially when you get from nightmare to hell, as you really start to stack monster modifiers, so things that make them stronger, and you start to add in immunities to different spells and things of that nature. So it definitely will jump in difficulty as you go along, but don't be fooled. Normal can be very difficult as well. You can walk out a couple of places and just get slaughtered and be like, what just happened? So it can happen. Trust me on that. And thank you, Pseudochop and Derpsticks. Beyond that, you can also play hardcore or softcore. If you play softcore, you can always respawn. When you get to the later difficulties, you might lose some experience from dying. You might lose some gold, things of that nature. But your character will still be alive, have his gear, things of that nature. I feel like I've said that too many times. If you go and play hardcore, you get 1 life, right? It's like real life is hardcore. So whatever it is, if it's a lag, if it's a, just dumb monster, you can get 1 shot, whatever it is, your character dies, everything's done. That character will now sit in a state that looks like this and can never be played again. As you can see, you cannot create or join games with a dead hardcore character. So that's just the end of that character. It's very sad, but a lot of people like the challenge that it kind of brings, right? It's exciting because at any point, that can be it. It can be over. And they say, if I'm playing softcore, what's the point? There's still points to softcore. I still like softcore, but don't worry about it. Thank you, Esroy, for the bits. So getting beyond that, if we start to look at let's look at the characters right here. And actually, we'll look at characters in a second. Let's go ahead and look in a little bit at some things like items and stuff, right? So within the game, items are randomly generated as you kill stuff. So I'm just going to go here to like the cold plains and ignore kind of the spells I'm using. Yeah, they're cold immunes. That was a poor choice of place to go. Let's go find some monsters that we can actually kill, if any exist. There we go. Right. So there's monster groups, and I can go kill, and they will, as you can see, drop items and gold and things of that nature. And there's me not dying and saving myself from dying. So right there, I found a heavy belt. Okay. And items are just randomly generated from drops. And I'll have guides on how these items drop, what can make them drop, all of this stuff. Doesn't really matter. The point is, items can drop, and they drop very randomly. With the exception of sort of levels and treasure classes, as they're called, of the item. So, for instance, I can't find this item right here at the very start of the game because of the modifiers that it has. Things of that. Whatever. So, that's all you really need to know about it at this point. And then that they're divided into different classes. Thank you, Yama. So, you have your white, right? This is your basic, your normal, right here. You have magic items, such as this blue, right here. You have rare items, such as these boots or this. You have set items, which are green, and these you can see belong to a set. I'm pointing at my screen. Obviously, that's not the way to point, but my mouse is, as you can see, stuck on the gloves. But at the bottom there, you can see these are Magnus's skin, and there are other set pieces. If you put multiple set pieces together, they will provide bonuses to each other. Sometimes this is really good, and sometimes it's completely worthless. So don't think that just because you find an item that's the next level up, it's going to be better for the character. Such as this ring has 24 lightning resist. I could find a ring that gives me 6% lifesteal, which does nothing for a character that doesn't do melee, such as my character. And so it's not going to be as good as this, even though it's a set ring, right? And then last but not least, you have, I guess you technically have socketed items that can be made into rune words, which we'll go over later. And then you have uniques, which I don't believe this character has any uniques. But a unique is a gold there. That's the unique color right there, right? This is a quest item, a special item. But that is the basic idea. So in this game, like I was saying before, you're going through all these acts, and the point is you are going to basically try and stop evil, right? You want to kill Diablo, the devil, and then his brothers to try and prevent the world from basically ending. Something along those lines. Like I said, I don't pay much attention to the stories, but that's the general idea. I guess the other things you have are, here's the rune color. They recently had added that a couple of patches ago. I say recently, it was many years. But the rune color is this orangish color, and you'll also see this on crafted items, which I can talk a little bit about now as well. You can craft items in this game. Look at all these wonderful things that it's just kind of, it just plays off of each other into the next segment, the next piece. So in this Horadric cube, I'm just holding potions with it right now, but I'll go ahead and pick it up. In here, I can actually craft things. I can put things together to upgrade to something else. Such as, I have 3 rejuve potions. I can put them together to make a full rejuvenation potion. Okay? So there are a lot of combinations. I couldn't sit... It would take me many streams to sit down and tell you every single combination that you could do in the cube. So it's something you'll have to look up. But the thoughts that you need to know, or the basics you need to know, are you can craft runes into higher level runes, you can craft items from it into kind of random new items, and you can craft potions and different things of that nature, right? I can re-roll charms, whatever, right? And you can add sockets to items and stuff of that sort. So there's just different things you can do with this cube here, and you find this in Act 2. Which, once again, I said there are 5 acts in the game, right? So let's go ahead and now start taking a little bit more of a look at what exactly Diablo 2 from a far away, not in on the character, but a little further away, what we're looking at, right? Sometimes Noobie. So first of all, you have BattleNet and you have single player. On BattleNet, this is where you can play with people. There are 4 different realms, okay? And so this is if I have a character on US East and my friend has a character on Europe, we can't play together, right? Can't do that. not allowed. We have to both have a character on the same realm. So, and additionally, this is where, of course, the servers are located. You guys know how this stuff generally works. But yeah, it's not global. It is specific to countries or areas, basically. I generally play on East. A lot of the people that I play with play on US East as well. But if you live over in Europe or Asia or something like that, you might be on one of the other servers, right? There is also other multiplayer. Here you can play on Open Battle.net, where you can take your single-player characters and go play. This is just full of hacked-up characters and all sorts of things because this game is offline, so people can basically hack their characters in single-player and then go on Open Battle.net and mess around with them. So you'll find all sorts of hacked-up stuff if you play on Open Battle.net. And there's TCP/IP, of course, if you wish to just play locally, right? So that is sort of your options there with Battle.net. The other thing to note is there is ladder and non-ladder on Battle.net as well, right? So let me log in. Whatever. Okay, so this right here is a ladder character. As you can see, it says ladder character and an expansion character. And this is not. This is just a ladder character. And if I want to create a new character, I have the choice of expansion or non, ladder or non, and hardcore or softcore. Okay? So you can kind of choose what you want for your play choices right here. And the ladder resets every 6 months, generally in November and May. If you're asking what the ladder is, it's basically just its own subset, right? It's like a new league or something like that, right? When it starts, when it drops, nobody has any characters, any gear, anything on that, and everybody has to start fresh, and you can play on that for 6 months in its own little siloed area, and when that's done, all of that moves to non-ladder, and a new ladder starts up. So non-ladder is the accumulation of all the ladder characters, and ladder is just that new, fresh start. So a lot of people like to play ladder because it's kind of fun. Whatever not. So backing out, single player, where I'm going to kind of focus more, is, of course, if you just wish to play by yourself. It does have some slight differences from online, such as there are certain rune words that are ladder-only rune words, and those are rune words that you will only find on the ladder. So you cannot make them in single player without some sort of plugin or change in your runes.txt file or something like that. Okay. Additionally, there's also things like the Ubers or Diablo clone. These are sort of like late game beyond content bosses that, once again, do not exist in single player unless you have a mod that brings them down into single player. So jumping in right here, actually, I want to go back one more time and I want to show you guys the characters and then we'll jump in. Thank you, Shashu. So the 7 characters are Amazon, Assassin, Necromancer, Barbarian, Paladin, Sorceress, and Druid. And I actually have a fun little graphic. Let me add an image here. Where did I put that? Characters. Beautiful. I just didn't get it set in place before I started. That was my fault. All right, perfect. Characters, hey. So here's the 7 characters, and here are sort of the skills that you can look in on for each of them, right? So you have your Amazon in the top there, and she can either be javelin and spear, passive. These are her like different skill trees, which we'll get into in a second. But javelin, spear, passive and magic, or bow and crossbow. So you're basically going to have jabs, spears, or bow or crossbow. You have an assassin who can do martial arts, so like kicking and stuff, or she can throw traps down, and then she has shadowed disciplines as well. Thank you, DGG. You have barbarians who can do war cries, who have combat masteries, so they can basically get passive benefits to all their attacks and things like that. And then combat skills as well for hitting. You have elemental, shapeshifting, and summoning for your druid down in the bottom left. The elemental is for just elemental attacks. The shapeshifting is he can turn into a bear or a wolf. And the summoning is he can actually summon some different bear things like monsters, right, to be with him. In the top right, you have your necromancer. He can summon as well, and he's kind of the main summoner of the game. He can summon the undead and have a lot of that. He has poison and bone spells, so that's kind of magic damage spells that he can shoot teeth or bone spears or whatever. He can bone prison things, all sorts of things like that. And then he has curses as well, to just curse monsters and give them debuffs of some sort. You have your defensive auras, your offensive auras and combat skills on the paladin. And so he's very much a kind of leader for a party, right? He has a lot of things that can be giving bonuses in specific situations. And then he also has his combat skills that allow him various attacks. And then you have her sorceress, and she's just cold, fire, or light, right? You basically kind of choose your spec or two and go from there. So, oh, my uptime is a bit off. Let's just go ahead and start that over. Let's just start that over. So additionally, here's kind of a little more discussion on each of the characters, right? Because you might say, great, that sounds awesome. Now, tell me about the characters. Why should I pick a certain character? Because a lot of people come to me and ask that. They say, Mr. Llama, should I be a barbarian? Should I be a what should I play? And the answer is, you can play whatever you want, right? Like, there's all sorts of things. But I want to give you a little bit of a discussion of why you might want to pick a certain character or not. So you have your Amazon in the top left right there, right? She's got various options. She can be that Boazon. She can be that Javazon. Her bows can fire and do physical damage. You can have her do elemental damage, cold. You can have her do fire damage as well. Or you can just be really hard into her passive tree and create like a giant Valkyrie that just walks around and is super tanky, and you don't have to do much behind it, right? You can just kind of like let her go do everything. So she really has a lot of options there. Her passives are extremely strong. It's going to make her a very difficult character to hit and kill. And like I said, especially if you bring in something like a Valkyrie or something like that, can be super helpful. Where she might struggle is immunity issues. So if you are playing something like her Lightning Javazon build or Poison Javazon build, or you're playing a Fire Bow or Ice Bow, your main focus is going to be on the elemental damage of one of those kinds. And when you run into monsters that are immune to that in hell, you're going to go, oh crap, what do I do? How do I kill these? And that kind of becomes a difficulty. So you either have to rely on having a mercenary, who's a guy that follows you around and helps you out. You'll either have to rely on him, or maybe have some sort of secondary option to help you out there, whatever it is. If you go more the physical damage route, there's a lot less immunity. There's only a couple of monsters that are really physical immune. And generally, when you go that physical route, you still have other damage in there that can kind of help. But if you go that path, you become more gear dependent. And that makes it a little more difficult because you're going to have to spend more time farming to get good gear to do enough physical damage to actually kind of play well, right? And progress. So that's kind of the Amazon. I think she's one of my favorite characters. But she can be a little bit difficult at times to play. Moving down, we have the Assassin. She's very strong. She has great life gain. She has very good passives as well, right? You can get bursts of speed and have her run really fast. You can get fade and give her insane damage reduction and resistances. You can have good crowd control from her passives as well, or from some of her abilities, Psychic Hammer. Is it Psychic Hammer? I can't even think of it's the one below it, right? Psychic Hammer is also crowd control. But regardless, there's crowd control in her as well. Very strong there. Also has huge high damage potential. Whether you're a Kixin with really good gear, that can be very good for damage, and she has a lot of explosive kicks that can be very helpful. Or if you are going for her trap tree, where she can kind of sit back and set up traps that just do burst of damage and can really do a lot. So another character that can do a ton of damage, very strong. I think the Assassin's one of the most overpowered characters that they kind of brought into the game. This is an expansion character, and she's very strong. Probably one of the stronger characters in the game, in my opinion. But you can also run into those immunity issues, once again, because you have lightning damage. You have, fire damage, something like that if you're going on a trap tree. And it's like, if you run into that, you're going to have difficulties. Barbarian is the third one down. This is the worst character in the game. I say that from if I'm just to pick up the game and play it all the way through by myself, it's going to be probably the hardest character to really play with. The reason, and if you look at him, you go, why? Very high life. He has extremely high life. Great for parties. He is super great for parties. His Warcry tree and everything there, his natural resistance skills, all of these things give him so much muscle and beef. And, he's like, you can't kill him. But he doesn't do damage. And that's really where it gets difficult. One, he's a melee character. Melee characters in this game are severely underpowered compared to range, compared to elemental. Because elemental skills, you're always hitting. Melee, you have to have a chance to hit. And that is always just going to be inferior in this sort of... I feel like in every game, just about, it feels like melee characters feel underpowered compared to elemental characters. And it really was the same here. When you could run around with someone else who can just shoot fire and shoot light, that blows stuff up. When you have to run up to a monster and hit it and deal with it hitting you and you can't dodge as well and stuff, it gets a lot harder. And he is the ultimate melee character because he is starting from level 1 until level 30. He doesn't have any attack that's not melee, really. So once you hit that final level 30, you can start to get an attack. It's really silly. It shouldn't even be an attack, but he can basically yell, and that's like an AoE, and he does damage with it. That becomes like his best skill going forward for a speed run, at least. But the thing is, I still love the Barbarian. I still have a ton of fun with him. Like I say, he's very tanky, so you're not going to die. And he's good to kind of slowly play through the game and just go and just maul on guys, right? You can just sit there and you run up, there's a couple dudes, and you just go sit there and whack, 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 whack. Kill them, move to the next ones. Chances of you dying are lower. This was the first character that I played through the game with when I came back to Diablo 2. So I had never beaten the game on single player. I came back like 7 years ago and said, I want to beat this game on single player. I picked a Barbarian. Took me about a month, I think. Not like consistent every single day, but whenever I had free time, I'd hop on. I'd play a few hours, hop off. And I just slowly grew myself into a character that could eventually beat the game. I hit a couple hurdles along the way, a couple stopping points, especially when it was like monsters were hitting me and making me frozen, right? They were freezing me. That was really difficult. And so I had to find cannot be frozen modifier. So I had to go farm for that before I could progress forward. All sorts of these things. But it was a lot of fun. So I really liked the character. But you have to know he's going to be a little slower than the others because he is so gear dependent. And if you're playing by yourself, not getting uber gear, all this stuff, whatever, it's going to be a little more difficult. But a great character for a party because he has war cries that can boost the life and mana and everything of his party, defense, all of that. So that's really good. Below that, we have the druid. He is slow and has terrible breakpoints. His faster hit recovery, his faster cast rate, everything, his faster block rate, all of these things are slow. He also has really bad life gain compared to other characters. So he's kind of bad in that sense, but he's amazing in his damage. His damage is super, super good. He also gets a little versatility when it comes around and you get to hell. You can have physical and cold damage mixed together in his elemental tree, and that's super helpful because, like I said, there's not a lot of physical immune monsters. So, for instance, when you're playing your barb, you're not really going to run into immunity issues, but you're going to run into damage issues. When you're playing on this guy, you won't really have either of those, right? Even if something's immune to one thing, your other skill generally does a good enough damage that you can still get through it okay. And then he's great for party because he has some summons that will boost the party's entire life and stuff. And so that's super good as well. So, and just having a few summons even can help be a distraction. Additionally, looking at summons, if we go up to the top right there, we have the Necromancer. He is great for parties. I think the Necromancer is a fabulous party character because of his curses, right? So we had talked about he has this curse tree, and that's just full of monster debuffs. And he can slow monsters. He can make them confused. Whatever it is, he can do all sorts of stuff. Additionally, he can summon all of the monsters up and have a giant army that runs around and basically tanks everything for the team. So great character for that. However, his single target, and if he's by himself damage, can be a little low, and so he can be slow. I think he's a very good introduction character for somebody who wants to get into the game, because you can just sit there and go, all right, I'm just going to summon an army and kind of stand behind it. I don't have to have a lot of APM, actions per minute. I don't have to have a lot of skill. I just kind of stand here, build up a big army, go in, kill some stuff, rinse, repeat over and over, right? So he's good in that sense. And he also does magic damage in his bone skills. So that can be helpful. Or poison, which isn't very good until you're super high geared. But he does magic damage with his bone skills. So that's rarely, there's a magic immune. Very rare in the game. So he can hit a lot of things there. So it's one of those that, like, good character, easy to get through, lots of crowd control, lots of everything like that, right? He can bone prison monsters, and they'll just sit there and be stupid and hit the bone prisons while you attack them. But it takes a little bit of time to get through. Not the fastest character. The Paladin is the most powerful character overall. He is the strongest character in the game, and I think that comes down to he's great in a party, and he's great by himself. For a party, he has all the various auras that will boost the party in so many ways, whether it's reducing the enemy's resistances or boosting defense or resistances for your guys or increasing damage, whatever it is, he has an aura for it, and it will apply to everybody. And then additionally, just for himself, he has so many strong attacks as well. And strong defense. He has Holy Shield, which can increase his defense and make his blocking really good. And then he can just go in, and I can name like 8 different Paladin builds that can all get through the game. Like not easily, but at least mildly easily. And that's a lot, because a lot of these characters you can't name 8 builds. So it's a very strong character, and it's one of the ones that you'll probably see the most common of in the game. Name all 8 builds, I dare you. Let's see. You can do a Smiter, you can do a Hammerdin, you can do a Zealot, you can do an Oradin, you could do a Fodin, you could do a that's 5. Vengeance. Yes, you could do Vengeance for 6. Charge. I mean, generally, if you're doing a charger, you're mixing it with something else. But you could hybrid a lot of those as well, okay? Like, that's the thing. Those are all, like, if you're solo on those, you can hybrid a lot of that together. And so it's one of those things. Yeah, I said a Zealot already. Regardless. Oh yeah, and Thorns. You can make a pacifist paladin. You could make a pacifist paladin who literally never attacks and gets through the entire game by just having monsters attack him and kill themselves. That's how strong he is. He can get through the game by standing there and letting monsters come up to him and go, It's the dumbest thing in the world. It's so stupid. Oh my god. Oh, stop hitting yourself. Yeah, so very strong character. I've done pacifist speedrunning as well with it. It's so silly. It's not even slow. It's pretty quick. Like, I probably can get through normal faster than you can playing a pacifist paladin and you playing whatever you want. Like, it's so ridiculous. And last but not least, we have the sorceress, one of my favorite characters, who is the definition in my case of a glass cannon. Her damage is super high, super strong. that's not shade thrown at you guys. That's just the passive paladin is really, really strong, actually. So like, it's amazing. But yeah, damage is super, super high. You don't need gear at all. You can run through the game naked as a sorceress if you really want. It might be a little difficult in some areas for sure and take a little time, but like so strong. She also has a natural inborn teleport skill, which you guys saw at the start of the video. That's super helpful. And other characters need items to get that. She will also run into immunity issues though, right? So if you have, because once again, you're fire, cold, or light, you're generally focusing on one tree, sometimes two trees, but sometimes monsters, especially when you get to hell, are immune to both of your skills. And then you go, crap, I need to do cold damage and fire damage, and they're immune to both? How do I kill them? And a lot of times what you end up doing is you reset until that monster doesn't spawn cold and fire immune. Sometimes that's the answer, right? If it's just one immunity and you just do that one damage, you might need to find something else. So you might need to either find something else to add in or you run past them, right? But some monsters you can't run past. You have to kill them. So in that case, maybe you get a mercenary to come along and help you out and once again, do some damage, kill things like that. So that's kind of a basic look right there at the characters of Diablo 2 and why or why not you might want to play each one. Can you hold your question a little bit, Elzevor? We'll have a Q&A session a little later. So there's your 7 characters. Once again, you pick one. Choose if you want to be expansion or non. I guess expansion. Oh, she's an assassin. She can only be expansion. Expansion or non, and I'll actually make a non-expansion character right here just to show you guys a little bit of the differences. First off, you get a tiny little stash. You don't have a weapon swap, right? So you only get one set of weapons, and we'll look at these things on the latter character to show the differences. And then there's a lot of other things like what items can drop and stuff. A lot of stuff was added in the expansion of set items and things of that nature that they kind of brought in to make it a little bit better, in my opinion. And runes and all of that stuff is added into Lord of Destruction. But some people hate that. They're like, I don't like runes. I don't like rune words. I just want to play normal, and so they play classic. So if you want to play classic, I mean, honestly, give it a try. It's fun. It really is. But classic also only has 4 acts, remember, whereas expansion will have that 5th act as well. So let's go ahead and hop in. You've never seen that stash before? Welcome to that stash. So here is the expansion stash. Wow, look at how much bigger. Oh my goodness, it's huge. It's huge. LOD also brought 800 by 600. It did, but you can now play classic in 800 by 600. So you can still do that. Wow, big stash. And also you can see weapon swap, right? So let's go ahead and look at first just some of the basics. So if I press the escape key, I have options, save and exit, and return. Return obviously returns me. Save and exit will take me back to the main menu. And options will take us to a few options. So the sound options, blah, blah, blah. Your sound and your music, right? Music's what you hear in the background. Ding, 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 ding. The sound is the sounds, yada, yada, yada. And then you can have NPC speech, audio, text, whatever. Video options, you can pick 800 by 600 or 640 by 480. I'm going to stick at 800 by 600. Don't change the resolution in and out while you're playing. You'll have to reset your game if you do. And you might, like I could do it now and then you'd be like, oh, you didn't have to actually reset your game. You could still play. It's true, but it actually will get laggy. It actually will get laggy later on if you've been changing your resolution back and forth. I found that out one time because I made it a funny challenge. And then later I was like, why is it so freaking like laggy? And it was because I was doing that. You can set your lighting quality and blended. All this is who really cares? Whatever. And this doesn't matter at all with the current settings I'm using. So it's just irrelevant. Auto map options. So this is the map that I use, and I put mine on top. So you can put yours over here, right? Some people like playing with their map right there. And you could actually move it around a little bit, I guess, as well. All right, you can move it up and down some. A little bit left and right. Okay. So, and that's with the arrow keys that I'm moving it. But this is the map over here, and so I'm that little blue cross, and it shows me where the characters are, right? Where my stash is compared. A car is over here, things like that. Or you can play it with it full screen and have it on top of your character. I prefer it like this, personally. Some people hate this. They're like, I can't see anything. You can't even see your character. It's so terrible. I get it. And you'll also see me do this a lot of times when I'm running. I'll be tapping it on and off. That's so I can see the ground, then see the map. See the ground, see the map. It's a little annoying, whatever. But this is how I prefer the map, whatever it is. So, moving on. You can have your fade. And this is for if you wish to make your map more faded. Right, so now my map is very faded, and you can cycle through those options of which one you want. Auto fading, just the center faded, everything faded. I like no. I just like having a big bulky map on top of my character. Center when cleared. This means if I turn it off and on, because like I showed before, I can move it with my arrows. So I can look around at different areas on the map and say, oh, there's, I'm looking over here. What happens over there? I can do that, turn it off and on, and it centers it again. If I have that off, it won't recenter it. And then show party. This is if you're playing multiplayer. You can actually show your party members with you on the map. Or you can say, I don't want to see them. And then last but not least is configure controls. And this is where you're going to come in and set up what hotkeys that you want. So to generally start, these are going to be F1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? This is going to be the general setup, is the F keys. Some people like to keep them there. Me personally, I like having my hands a little bit. I play more StarCraft, stuff like that. So I'm more used to having my A, S, D, F, X, Z, those characters, right, kind of used for skills and hotkeys and things. So I reset them. You can just come in here, you click on a skill, X, Z, right, you just set it right there. Okay. You can set additional skills here if you would like as well. You can also set this, and this is generally set to like mouse up or something for setting that skill. So I can say mouse up is the next skill, previous skill, whatever. Once again, I don't like setting any of those. I actually turn that off for my own personal settings. Using the potions in my belts, 1, 2, 3, 4, yada, yada. You can kind of look through these and we'll probably talk through a couple of them. And of course, a lot of people like all of the funny commands that you can have over here. Oh, I've disabled my...
Help me.
Right.
This is for you. Come on. Thanks.
You can say all those fun little things over there with the hotkeys. So, help. I need help. Help me. Yeah. So, let's take a little more look at the bar right here and kind of what other things we see on our current screen, right? First things first, here's my life, here's my mana. If you click on the bottom of the orbs, you can turn on and off it always being on by default, right? Here I can just look at it. If I click at the bottom, now it stays there for good. I like clicking it because I like seeing exactly how much health and mana that I have. Some people, maybe they're like, oh, aesthetically, I don't like that. Over here, you have your skills. This is my left click. So on my left click, I won't have all of the skills that my right click is going to have, right? My left click is kind of my base move, my base click. If I want to talk to somebody, everything like that is left click done. So when I'm moving to click, I'm left clicking around. And I could set it to be like right click is normal attack, whatever. But over here, you basically have some like easy attacks. So it's like shooting a firebolt, pew, 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 or whatever. Shooting an ice bolt, pew, pew, pew. Whereas over here, you'll have things like putting on your armor, dropping a teleport, casting certain skills like blizzard or firewall, teleporting, right? A lot of utility, basically any skill is on the right, and on the left are more just basic attack skills, essentially. Okay. Why is orb on left click? You never understood? That's just one that they wanted to put on left click. Not all of it has a perfect rhyme or reason for why it's over here, but it is. So basically it's more targeted skills, I would say, are over here, and non-targeted ones are going to be on your right click. Additionally, here you have your stats and skills. Obviously I don't have new stats or skills, but whenever I level up, these will come up. At that point I can click either A or click right here to bring up my character screen, which will show information about my character. Here's my name, here is my class, here's my level. This is how much experience I have, how much experience it takes to get to the next level from killing monsters, which is also this white bar right here, right? That's my progress to the next level. Here's my strength, dexterity, vitality, and energy as well. And every class starts with a different amount and has a different gain as well between all of these. So, for instance, whenever I level up, I will get 5 stat points. I can use these how I want, but if I want to put a 1 point into vitality on a barbarian, I will gain 4 life for it. If I put it on a sorceress, I'll only gain 2 life for it. If I put it into energy on a sorceress, I'll gain 2 mana. If I put it into energy on a barbarian, I'll gain 1 mana. So there's different, for whichever character you are, where you place your stat points can have varying effects. So like on a barbarian, I'm never putting points into energy. If I want mana, I'm going to get it from an item because it's so pointless there. On a sorceress, sometimes I'm actually putting points into energy. Generally, though, I'm not. But every now and then I'll put a few points here and there, unless I'm playing something else. Continuing. These are your four stats: strength, dexterity, vitality, and energy. You can spend your points how you want between them. Once they are there, they can't be reset with the exception of a couple of reset points in the game. So kind of be careful how you choose those. Strength is generally just used for gear. It will add to your damage a little bit, but it's generally just going to be used for gear. Dexterity is used for gear, used for some attack rating, and used for blocking. So if you want to increase your block chance, you can see when you hover over these, it says, what's my chance to hit? A lot of times these are broken, by the way. They don't give a completely accurate chance to hit or whatnot. But your chance to block is always going to be right. So whenever you have a shield, it'll say your chance to block is like 73%. And then if I put a few more points in dexterity, it'll be 74. And 75% is your max block chance. You have stamina and life. Stamina is this yellow bar down here. I can also go turn running to walking if I want. When I'm walking, I don't lose stamina. I will actually gain it back. When I'm running, I do lose stamina. Let me go out here and run around. And you can see it's very slowly going down because I am a higher level, so I don't lose very much stamina at that point, and it recovers decently well. And of course, when you're in town, it will also be recovering. And then lastly, you have your mana right here, which comes from energy, and that gives me the ability to cast spells. Beyond that, you have your resistances. There are 4 resistances in this game that are shown here, and then you can also have a couple other ones as well. So you have your fire, cold, lightning, and poison resist. Each of these can go up to a maximum of 75% and a minimum of negative 100%. Now the maximum can be raised all the way up to 95%, but no further. And that only comes from having specific gear or skills that will actually increase your maximum potential for a resistance. You don't see a lot of that, but every now and then it does have an effect. Generally, you want to keep your resistances pretty high. This is something that if I were to say one piece of advice for somebody as they go through the game, what's my one thing I would say? I would say try and focus on finding good resistances. After you have good damage and things like that, try and focus on having good resistances, because that a lot of times is the difference between getting 1 shot or 2 shot and being able to stand and tank a few shots. Additionally, you're not going to be going into your hit recovery as often if you can withstand some of these hits. So hit recovery happens when I lose 1/12 of my life. Or is it 1/8 of my, no, I think it's 1/12 of my life. Yeah. 1/12 of my life percentage, which is what? 8%? 8 point something percent. So if you lose a little bit more than 8% of your life, your character will now go, ugh, right? So if you're about to cast something, you're like, huh, and then you get hit, you'll suddenly go, ugh, and then have to recover before you can attack again. This is, yeah, I'm trying to explain what hit recovery is in this instance. So, and you won't cast. Whatever you're trying to cast, you'll just kind of drop it. And your character will just like be worthless for a little bit of time before she or he recovers and can then try again for another action. So every time you lose 8% of your life or more, that's happening. So if these are really low and monsters are doing a lot of damage, crap, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, right? So the higher you can get these, the less damage you're taking, the less chance that you're in those situations, the better you can be. Focus on getting your resistances up if you can. And you can see I tried on this character, but her fire res is still kind of bad. And I could honestly probably replace this with a helmet that has, you know, Rao runes in it for fire resist and bring it up a little bit better. But it was just, you know, in a speedrun, sometimes you just got to deal with it. How you got to deal with it. N64 and Reaper owns. Thank you for the subs, by the way. So, moving forward. There is also a physical resistance. This can go up to 50%, and it's not right here. You can't see it. It's just something you'll have to look at your gear and say, does this say plus, you know, give physical resistance or physical damage reduction, it's called. If it does, then you can add that into, and that's once again for melee damage or physical damage, I should say. And then there's also magic damage resistance, which you as a character are not going to have, but monsters will sometimes have. Okay. So those are the various resistances that you can have. And that's right. Just like the terrible COA I found. And some stuff with that. Please heal myself. Okay, I'll go heal. So if you talk to certain NPCs in town, they'll heal you up. Boom, look at that. It was a teaching moment, guys. Second thing on the list is inventory. This will show you what you have. Inventory or I. Some people set this to their A key or C key for character, I think. But I like my C key for skills. So I have just left it at I. And this will bring out my inventory, which shows what I am using. This is my inventory itself, where I'm carrying items. And this is where I am using the items right here. So you can have one hand, and you can have it on either side, but people will yell at you if you put it on that weapon on that side, shield on this side. So always have it like this, so you get yelled at. You have your armor, your helmet, an amulet, 2 rings, a belt, gloves, and boots. And then, like I said before, you can have a weapon that is on swap as well. This is going to be what you're using. This is what you get to get all the benefits from and protecting all that stuff. This stuff down here is all worthless in terms of helping you, with the exception of charms, such as this guy. And you can see it even reads, keep an inventory to gain bonus. This gives me an additional 14 to life. You can see my life total going up when I equip this item right here in my inventory. Those are the only items, charms, that will help you from your inventory. Everything else is just sitting there for, oh, if I need to put more potions in my belt or something like that, which there are fun hotkeys as well and things of that nature. But that's all you can, you know, look in hotkeys and different stuff. So you just kind of want to keep this organized and, you know, whatever, and either sell things or put things over in your stash when you're not using them and you want to save them for later. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. So that's your inventory. Your skill tree, this is where we get to kind of the fun stuff, right? So now we're determining what is our build going to be for this character. And like I showed before with all of what the character has for skill trees, here's your cold, lightning, and fire because we're on a sorceress. So as you can see on the sorceress, I'm actually invested in every single tree. And I have a skills video that goes through how they all basically work. I'll give a very brief overview. You put a skill point in, you can use that skill. The more you put into it, the more damage and everything you can use. Arrows will point to prereqs for what's needed for the next skill. So I can't get this until I have this and this and this before I can get that, which then I can finally get Hydra, right? Hydra's not a very good skill. Don't get Hydra. But generally, you're going to want to focus in specific areas of the game. So on this character, I focused on maxing Firewall out. You can see I have 21 points in Firewall, adding a little bit of extra damage with my Fire Mastery, and then maxing out my Frozen Orb and adding some damage from that or some negative resistances with my Cold Mastery. For utility, I've added in Frozen Armor, which is right here. Makes it so monsters freeze when they hit me. Telekinesis, Teleport, and Static Field. There are a lot of builds all on the internet. I would highly recommend finding a build. Maybe not. Maybe for your first time through, don't find a build. Play through as far as you can until your character is just dead in the water. Trash it, go find a build, and then play through. Because it's fun to work your own build for a while, and then, you know, you're sitting there playing an Inferno Source, let's say, right? Let me get Inferno up or something. And you're like, all right, this is going to be great, guys. Oh, okay, this doesn't do any. Oh, God. All right, this character's bad now, right? Like, you kind of pick and choose these terrible skills like that, and you're like, wee. And then you realize that it's a terrible skill later, and you're like, okay, I'm going to go get this skill, which is a lot better. Or this skill, which is really, really good. So, you know, you kind of get through those. And how you build them, they have synergies, which are, you can see at the bottom, it says receives bonuses from. So by adding to one skill, you're going to potentially be increasing the damage of another skill. And so you kind of want to stack them up together sometimes for additions, such as Frozen Orb receives additional points from Ice Bolt. So if I was a higher level, I might put more points into Ice Bolt to increase the damage of my Frozen Orb, something like that. Moving on, you have your auto tab map option. This just turns on and off the map, which I was doing before with the tab. Additionally, I can use space to turn off my map if I want. You have your message log, and we'll bring this up as well. This is where you can see what people typed, right? If somebody died, anything like that will appear in here. You have your quest log, aka Q, and this will show the quest that you have in the game to complete. What is completed will be here, looking like this. What needs to be completed and you have the quest for will look like this. And if you don't have the quest for it yet, it'll just be this blank thing and you can't see it. Additionally, you can move through all of the acts and see, okay, here's the different quests that I need to be completing in each act, right? So you'll want to kind of often check that out to see, where do I need to go? What am I looking for? Whatever it is, right? Let's see. That covers all of that. We've got our bar. Here's my belt. So you'll see if I take off this belt, I have nothing. I just have this one row of potions. If I put on this belt now, and I use the tilde key to show this all the way open or hovering over it, now I have a lot of potions that I can put right there. Okay. Now I have a lot of room to put a lot of potions in. Not all belts. This is the maximum. This belt is giving me the maximum amount of spots it can have. Other belts will either give you 3 rows, either give you 3 rows or 2 rows, right? So you're either getting 2 at the start, and as you move on, you get 3, and then towards end game, a lot of belts give you 4 rows. I guess I missed this. This is to close and open your mini panel right here as well, if you want. And I feel like that covers a lot of the intro basics for Diablo 2, right? I feel like that covers a majority of it. Am I wrong? Am I right? I think that covers it for that stuff. Yeah, I feel pretty good on that. I feel pretty good. Chat gem is pointless. Doesn't do anything. Exactly. So that right there, I'm just gonna say that right there covers your basics of your character, your getting started, all of that. We didn't talk about things like waypoints, which are these things on the ground. So whenever I get to a new area, not all new areas, but some new areas, and I find one of these, click on it, because then you can always teleport between that and a new area, no matter what. If I quit and come back, all the ones I've visited, I can always go visit again. Right. And then NPCs, I guess I didn't cover. I can cover them a little bit as well. Each act has different NPCs. You're always going to have one that sells potions and scrolls. So this, this will allow me to teleport home or come home once and then go back to where I was. And then different potion types, right? And she'll also sell weapons of wands and staves and stuff of this nature. Then you'll have an NPC that will allow you to have a mercenary. So you can hire a new mercenary or you can resurrect an old one from there. You will have your stash, which is where you can always put your gold and your items. You will have a mercenary or an NPC that will sell you things like armors and weapons that are more melee focused, and then replenishments for arrows and bolts. You can also always repair stuff at this NPC. And lastly, you will have another NPC that will sell you things, and he kind of sells a mixed match of that, or you can gamble at. And when you gamble, it's very expensive, and you just get a random item of some kind from it. So I'll just say I'll gamble an amulet. Oh, it's +2 to curses. Cool. Like whatever. So it's just random. It can be magic, rare, set, or unique, though the chances for it to be set or unique are extremely, extremely, difficult. So, or really low chances. But they do exist. And I've found a unique before there, and I've found a couple of set items doing that. But you can get, really good rare items and such. But it's going to be very expensive to gamble. So don't be gambling too often. A lot of times that's used later on for when you want to craft items in a specific way. So whenever you get to the different acts, I'm in Act 2 now. I'll have the same sort of thing. I'll have people that want to talk. Here's the person that's going to repair my items. Here's the person that's selling me potions. And this guy up here will sell me potions and scrolls. Blah, blah, blah. Right. I don't want to give away what all the acts look like exactly so far, but I would say that right there should cover your basics. Go out, make a character, and have some fun, right? If you are new to the game, if this is your first, you're coming into it and you're saying, I'm ready to play some Diablo 2, Mr. Llama. And I'm like, great, that's awesome, I love it. And you watch this and you're like, I know everything about the game now. I'm going to say, great, go play a little bit, go practice, go have fun with it, and then come back, because I'll have that next Noobie Tuesday in a week. Come back to that. I'll give you some more information. It'll be great. You can just get right into the flow of things. Beautiful. Mwah. Right, primo. But it's like when you're doing any sort of new event, activity, whatever it is. If I want to go learn how to ride a bike, I don't just hop on and I'm Lance Armstrong. I need to go and, ride around my backyard a little bit, or just, try and figure it out and then move my way up. So go play. Go take what you've learned and go play around. Have some fun and enjoy it. Killer Chicken, thank you for the sub. So I think that covers the first piece of Noobie Tuesday. And now we can move into some of the Q&A. Now I can move into some of the Q&A that I got from the YouTube videos. So I'm going to do this. And for those of you who in the future have some other questions and want to get your questions featured on Noobie Tuesdays, Diablo Dailies, whatever not, go ahead and post them in the comments below. This is on YouTube, of course. Post them in the YouTube comments below, and I will try and come back. I see all comments on my YouTube. No matter what video it is, I eventually go through all of my comments and read them. Sometimes I'll answer. Sometimes I'll ignore it. Sometimes I'll delete it if it's mean, or I'll say something nice back to you like, I'm sorry, you're not feeling very well today. I hope you feel better. And sometimes, I'll just like it, whatever. But if it's a really good question that I think brings up good discussion for something like a Noobie Tuesday or a Pro Thursdays or something of that nature, I will highlight it and I will bring it up. And so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and run through some questions. So can you guys see those? So the first one says, "Hi, Mr. Llama and community. I've got a question." This is from Jacko Stein. "I'm playing a martial arts assassin, and I have an Archon plate with 3 sockets. Should I go for a treachery or a duress? I do have the runes, so what do you recommend? Greetings from Germany." Well, thank you, Jacko. That's a very good question. That's a very good question. Let's go ahead and adjust this to be here. Boom. This or that. It's kind of like a new game show, right? This or that. So his question is, which one should I use on a martial arts assassin? Right? Which one should I use? So on the left, we have the Duress. Duress is going to be providing a lot, and this is martial arts assassin. Once again, I want to make sure you know what character it is because it's important, right? On the left, you have the Duress. It's going to give faster hit recovery. It's going to give some cold damage, some crushing blow, some open wounds, and resistances. Those are kind of the important things that we see on the left side there. On the right side, the important things we see are chance for fade, chance for venom, plus to skills, increased attack speed, faster hit recovery, some cold resist. The other things are kind of whatever. Duress is also going to have a higher defense, which can be a little helpful if you really like defense. I'm not a big defense person, but if you want defense, that can be a little bit better. So in terms of martial arts assassin, one of the things I would say is, 1, you're probably going to be running burst of speed. If you're running burst of speed, fade is going to overwrite that. You can only have one or the other running at a time. And this is my biggest factor. So I'll even come back to that a little bit later, right? Faster hit recovery is great on both. Duress has a little bit more. Increased attack speed on treachery is amazing. Plus 2 to assassin skills on treachery is amazing. That is all very, very, very good. You're going to get more resistances over on Duress. You're going to get that cold damage on Duress. And the big stuff is that chance for crushing blow. I'd say that's probably one of the biggest things that you're going to get out of this. And are you running other crushing blow pieces? Hopefully. If you're not, Duress is 100%. But regardless, you want to have crushing blow on an assassin who's martial arts because she kicks like 5 times a second, I think, something like that. And every single time you kick, you're proccing that chance for crushing blow, which does a percentage of the monster's total health that it currently has. So let's say it's Bale, and let's say Bale's got 1,000,000 HP, whatever it is. That's not an accurate number. I'm just saying it. Let's say he has 1,000,000 HP. If you hit him once and you proc that crushing blow, you're doing what, 12% of his health in that kick? Because it's 25% on a normal monster, 12% on a boss monster. So you're doing 12% of his total life in that hit, that first hit. So you're taking out 120,000 health that first hit. Then the next one will be a little less, but still a good chunk. So you can really chunk down big monsters, boss monsters and stuff with crushing blow. Very, very, very helpful. As opposed to if you don't have that, you're only relying on the skill damage or the melee damage, whatever it is, and it's going to take a lot longer. So crushing blow is extremely important for a melee character and a martial arts assassin especially. So that already makes me favor Duress a little bit. Additionally, cold damage is really good. If you can ever slow monsters or have something that adds in some cold damage, that's always great. The faster hit recovery is higher. I love faster hit recovery because you're going to get hit, and the faster you can recover to hit again, the better. So I like Duress more here, but once again, I'm going to go back to, I don't want my burst of speed to get overwritten. That is a huge thing for me. That increases my attack speed and my movement speed. And if that gets overwritten, now it all drops back again. So yes, I get bonus attack speed from the treachery, which is fantastic, but I don't like losing that run walk. Changing your run speed midway through and stuff is pretty rough. And so I think I favor the Duress a little more for that reason, because I don't want to lose burst of speed. So good question, though. That is a very good question. But I would say go with the Duras. Question number 2. This is from Apfelkaschelmixkartoffelbrot. I think that's German for hello or Alex or something. So I made a single player source a while back and I'm level 83. I tried to finish the game, but I can't beat Hell Ancients. Do you have a suggestion? I could send you the save file. You take a look, give me suggestions. Typing out all I have and how I skilled is a bit tedious. That's a very good question. That's a very good question. This is one of those things that a lot of people run into. And this is not the save file. The save file is this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this character, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at this character. Great resistances. Very well done right there. He's skilled pretty appropriately, right? A lot of his points are in vitality, which is where you're going to focus most of your stat points on every character. So great life. He's focusing very heavily on Blizzard. Has pumped up his Cold Mastery as well to match that. So he's doing very great damage. Has pumped up a couple synergies to boost his Blizzard as well. 1-1-1, very typical, and 1 point in warmth. This is a very standard Blizzard build. Now, what of course makes it difficult about this character? I guess let's do a little bit of a gear review for this character. We have a Razor Switch, so that's nice. Some life, mana, reds, faster cast rate, all of that. Great item to find, right? Very good. Viper Magi, also a great item to find. Love both of these right here. Peasant Crown gives some skills. You know, Vita Energy. It's all right. It's good. You get the plus skill. This is just for resistance in life, it looks like. Faster cast rate. Resistance right here. Resistance on the belt. Resistance and a little magic find. These gloves could probably be replaced with something better. I'm not a big fan of those. And these could also be replaced with something better. But they've got some run walk on them and a little bit of resistance and faster hit recovery. So, seems decent. And if we check in the stash, looks like this dude loves his runes. So many runes. Hey, you found Titans. 155. And you got a Ravenfrost. Wow, nice. 192.20, not too bad. So this guy right here likes his runes and things of that nature. If we look at his mercenary, he's using Sazabis. He's using Steel Skull and using Black Leech. This is going to be a little rough for your mercenary because he's not, that damage is very, very, very low, right? Yeah, he's got a little lifesteal, increased attack speed, whatever. That's good MF. Armor's not great, but it's got some strength on it in life. But this bill is definitely, thank you, Pork. This bill is definitely a hindrance, I would say, and needs to be swapped out because he's not going to get very far with that. I would say this right here that you actually have is going to double his damage and probably make it a little easier for you. And we'll need more strength to use it. And now you can see his damage has gone up to about double what it was before, right? 258 to 879, 333 to 1906. I like that better. Let's go ahead and go with that. And man, you have so many runes. Let's get rid of some runes here. We don't need all these. This is what I used to do before I realized that you don't need a lot of runes. Perfect. So now we've got some things. So let's go look at some ancients. And once again, this is where ancients are going to be a little difficult. Because you don't have other skills. What do we have on our offhand? +2 Hydra, Chain Lightning, Nova, and 2 to Source skills. That's actually a pretty good offhand. And then some resistances. I actually kind of like that offhand. And I'm wondering, 1 to 95, 31 to 60, 36 to 45. I wonder if Nova wouldn't be the worst thing to run right there. Wonder if Nova wouldn't be the worst thing to run. So let's go ahead and find the ancients. Looks like it's gonna be down here. Cool. So we've got our ancients up. So when you're this high level, you do pretty good damage, but you're all cold damage. So the first thing that you need to realize is he is always going to spawn as a fire immune. He is always going to spawn as lightning immune, and he is always going to spawn as a cold immune. No matter what. Guaranteed fire, lightning, cold. This is on hell, by the way, right? With that being said, and you just being cold damage, they have the option of also spawning additional immunities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically farm these guys through until I find the mods that I like on each of them, and then go against that specific set of guys. So if he's cold fire immune, I'm resetting. If he's cold lightning immune, I'm resetting. Because I just want to get it down to just fighting Corlic with my cold damage and nobody else. Right? So I'm going to check these guys. See, he's cold lightning immune. I'm going to reset that. Fire. There. Okay. So that's not bad. That's not bad. And so I'm just going to play the run game right here, right? I don't want to get jumped on. If he's extra fast, I especially want to be careful. And I need to make sure I keep my mercenary alive. That is extremely important for this. Additionally, whenever I teleport, my mercenary is coming with me. And I also want to make sure I'm feeding him potions appropriately. So I honestly might even need to go back and get more potions, more health potions for my mercenary when he fights Corlic. We'll have to just kind of see that when it comes about. But for now, we're just going to run around, stay away. You're a blizz source, so you do what you do best, which is not engage. Make them run through your blizzard. Stationary monsters in blizzard don't do great. Monsters running through blizzards die very quickly. So we've already got 1 down, we've got 2 down, and now I'm going to static this guy down to half. And he is got some stone skin. And now I'm going to swap over here and start using a little bit of Nova action. And we'll see how this goes right here. That stone skin's actually a little bit of an issue. And I probably should have been more cognizant of him being stone skin. Because that's going to make stone skin cold enchant is actually pretty horrible for my mercenary to have to deal with. So you can see that I'm whittling him down. I'm actually going to reset it because the cold stone skin is actually terrible. And I should have looked at it. I should have looked. Teleport spectral hit. That should be okay. That should be okay. Oh, I need to swap my skills. That's why. That's why. So now move over here. Oh, see, he's cold light enchant, so we're gonna reset it, right? Instantly right there, he was cold and light. We didn't check it and see. What we got? Extra strong stone skin. I don't want to fight him stone skinned. I need my guy to be able to do damage. He just keeps spawning with stone skin right now. Now he's cold fire. Cursed extra strong. Let's go ahead and get that off real fast. And we'll sell. And sell that. Beautiful. Cold enchanted. Woo, look at the damage that they were doing to my man. Painful. So you have to kind of farm through these guys a little bit. Cold enchanted stone skin. Eventually he won't be cold enchanted stone skin. Immune. Okay, so we just gotta be a little careful here because Maddock does some serious damage. And you also want to make sure that they're all kind of chasing you. You never really want to let them get set and drop attacks on you. And you also don't want to end up running into the wrong guy, right? So if I start running and all of a sudden I've got Talic whirlwinding on me, it's going to be not very fun. So my mercenary is still doing okay there. I could think about throwing a potion over his way, but we'll hold it for now because he's going to recover in the time he's chilling. Okay, so there's one down. Okay, and this is if you're not doing cheesy strats on him and stuff like that. So now he's pretty low, so I went ahead and fed him a potion. So he'll start regenning his health a little faster, right? How's it going? Thank you, Fierce. We'll drop a little bit more. Yeah, there are ways to cheese the Ancients a little easier. And, okay, so he's dead. So now we get to our final man. And he is extra strong.
Impossible.
So. And this is where having that very strong mercenary can be helpful. Right? This is where having a very strong mercenary can be super helpful. So I need to be very careful with him.
Not enough mana.
So that he's still able to do damage. And I'm able to hit as well. So ideally I'd love to have like teleport and things like that on my mercenary. I'd say those are my more ideal mods for him. And I really hope I don't end up short on mana here to finish this job off. Could be close. All right, let's save our guy. Let him heal up for a second. Get the poison off. And you can take your time on this battle. That's the other thing. You can take your time. It's really nice. Save our merc again. You can always go to the complete opposite side. And if you get there fast enough, they won't chase you. Their drag is going to be a little lower than that entire area. And so now we should be able to finish him here. And there you go. Ancients are complete. Really wasn't that bad, right? This is going to be the difficulty though, if you are playing through a character that is purely one spec. And obviously you should get more potions. Fill your whole inventory with potions, right? This, you don't need that. This, you don't need that. You don't need any of these things for your fight. And also fill your cube up. Put potions in your cube as well. Can you send me a save and I rush the character through hell for you? Yeah, of course, right? That's how it works. But no, that's an easy way to get through. And I was just using Nova, right? Of the additional skills I had, I could have done Chain Lightning, which would have been okay. I preferred the Nova damage. I could have also gone for Hydra. I felt like Nova was the best option of those three personally. Right? But, you know, just fill yourself with mana and health potions and just feed potions to him. Which, by the way, Shift 1, Shift 2, Shift 3, or Shift 4 will feed him the current potion in that slot. You can't give him mana potions, but you can give him health and rejuve potions. So I can either do it there, or I can do it... Right, let's do this. So I can either give him a potion like that, or I can Shift 1 and he will drink the potion. Either one of those will be the potion drinking. Okay, let's move on to our next question. This is from Zen000. Question for Noobie Tuesday. What are all the possible affixes on a monster, right? So as we just saw, that's actually pretty good timing. Because as we just saw a bunch of monsters right there, right? we want to look at maybe what are some monster modifiers. Right. So here's some monster modifiers. By the way, thank you, Wagena, for the sub. Here is some, and by some I mean all of them. And let's run through them really quickly. Aura Enchanted is the first one. Now, there are 7 different auras that they can have. They're anywhere from range, like level 5 to level 8 are their auras, I believe. So you're going to have Might Aura, which increases damage, right? Holy Freeze Aura, which gives them kind of a cold. Battle or Blessed Aim, which increases their accuracy. Holy Freeze. So there's Holy Fire and Holy Freeze. Holy Freeze gives the cold. Holy Fire increases the damage. It gives like a fire spark. Holy Shock gives a light damage to it. Blah, blah, blah. Conviction, which will lower your resistances. And Fanaticism, which will increase their damage and attack speed and stuff. One of those 7 can spawn if they're Aura Enchanted. Additionally, they can be cursed. If they're cursed, it means they have a 50% chance to hit you and put amplified damage on you, which will do 200. You take 200% physical damage while that curse is on you. Cold Enchanted is another one, and if it's in Nightmare or Hell, Cold Enchanted minions will also get that cold damage, right? So that's why archers. All of the archers will shoot cold damage, not just the boss. That's only in Nightmare in Hell, though. So it adds cold damage to their attacks. And a lot of these give small additional bonuses as well, such as like chance to hit time is 200%, or 1.25% damage, or increases the min damage. Like a lot of these give additional other bonuses than what I'm saying here, but I'm just giving you some basics. Like the extra fast. All of the monsters get a boost to their speed, but the boss monster, not the minions, also gets a 200% attack speed, or he attacks twice as fast. So not 200% increased attack speed, but he hits twice as fast or whatever. Just the boss. I didn't list that, but like each of these has things like that. Fire Enchanted means the monster gets additional fire damage, and then when he dies, in a 4-yard radius around him, there's an explosion. And in Nightmare and Hell, it's bugged. And they kind of fixed it in Hell, but in Nightmare, they didn't fix it completely. So it will do a lot of damage. And if it's stacked with other enchants, it can do, like, kill you damage in an explosion. It's kind of stupid how much damage it can do. So be very careful. Lightning Enchanted is also bugged. All of the enchanteds, Cold, Fire, Light, when they stack together, there's glitches in how they work together, and that they like join their damages and stuff, and they become super strong. So for instance, Lightning Enchanted guys that are also Fire Enchanted, when they release charge bolts around them, because Lightning Enchanted also does that whenever they're put in hit recovery, those bolts will do like additional damage to where they're doing like 10 times the normal amount of damage, it seems like, because of the Fire Enchant versus Lightning Enchant. So be careful around Lightning and Fire Enchanted. Very dangerous. Magic Resistant gives them 40 resistances of Cold, Fire, Light. Mana Burn gives them, whenever they hit you, they will burn basically all your mana, and it's horrible. And they also get a plus 20% to their magic resistance. Multi-shot gives them additional 2 shots to whatever range shot it is, and it only applies to monsters that have a ranged attack. But like sometimes I know the birds in Act 2 get them, and I'm pretty sure they don't have a ranged attack. I guess they have to technically have one if they get that, unless it's one of those weird roll things where it can't roll it, or it rolls it 8 times or 9 times, and then it just gives it to it. It might be something like that, because I've seen it on monsters that don't attack with range, but generally it goes to ranged. Spectral Hit gives them a chance to do fire, light, magic, cold, or poison damage. So they're just going to randomly do one of those every time that they hit. And then additionally, they get 20% resistances to the fire, light, and cold. Stone Skin gives 50% damage reduction. And then I think it also gives another like little bonus to attack or something. Extra Strong is 2.5 times damage. And the minions get a 75% attack boost as well. So that's why Extra Strong and Extra Strong minions all do a ton of damage. Teleport, when they have 33% health or less, they will teleport. And when they teleport, they will heal some. And then Thief is no longer in the game. When it first came out, when the game first came out, this used to be on Lord Desace in the Chaos Sanctuary. And when he would hit you, he had a chance to make you drop, or he would steal one of the items in your inventory. I can't remember if he would just steal it or if it would drop on the ground. Like, it could be armor, it could be anything. Later on, they nerfed it to where it only knocked potions out of your belt. And then eventually they just removed it from the game completely. So that is no longer there. But that was one of the modifiers that did exist. Was kind of silly. Sounds cool. It was messed up, man, and knock items out of your inventory. Don't nobody want that. So those are all of the monster modifiers right there. That is every single one that you can see in the game. And really you just got to kind of be careful. So like I was saying, when we're facing somebody like Corlick there, and I have that cold sorceress, what do I want to see on him? Extra fast? Yeah, sure, that's really not that bad. Fire enchanted? Okay, it's not terrible. Lightning enchanted would kind of suck. Magic resistant? In that case, I wasn't really doing a ton of magic damage if I was relying more on my mercenary, so that would be okay. Mana burn? That's totally fine, because I'm going to have my merc tanking him. Multi-shot he went spine with. Spectral hit? A little annoying, but I could deal with it. Stone skin I didn't want on him because my mercenary is trying to do a lot of physical damage to him. Extra strong I wasn't a huge fan of. I did it, but I wasn't a huge fan. And teleport, I'd probably be okay if he had teleport. So when kind of looking through those are ones that I like a little more. Cursed is really scary. Extra strong is really scary. Cold enchanted is awful if I want a guy sitting there attacking him, whatever. So you can kind of look through all of those and pick and choose. Next question. Good questions, by the way, guys. How to transition from Nightmare to Hell gear-wise. Now, this is a very common question that people ask. They say, Mr. Llama, I just got to Hell. I just finished Nightmare. I just got to Hell, and I'm a cold sorceress. I don't have any money, but let's just... And I go to the cold plains and run out here to go kill things, and I can't, right? Shoot, he's cold immune. And then he hits me one time, and I'm getting slaughtered. They're doing tons of damage to me, if I'm in the middle of a few guys, if I can find a few dudes to hit me, I take a lot of damage. I can't move very well. How do I gear up for this, right? And I'll actually use this character right here because Zalby did a pretty good job for gearing up. Once again, the first thing I do is I look for resistances. Poison I don't care so much about. Forget that one. Fire, cold, and light. I want to get these up. Because if these are in the negatives, I'm dead, right? I get up, I get hit by a cold fire enchanted guy, and my character just falls over and dies. Sometimes I kill the cold enchanted guy, his Frost Nova goes out, and I die because I take so much damage because I have -20 cold res. You want to get resistances. So find yourself things like this. This right here is great. 17 light res, 10 cold res, 10 fire res. That's great. 16 to cold res. 19 to light res, right? This right here is purely an amulet. 1 to barb skills. Who cares? You need to get your resistances up before you're really worrying about everything else. So first thing there is get your res up. That's my first piece of advice. Second thing I would say is there are a ton of uniques and rares and sets and whatever items in the game that you can get early on in Nightmare that are amazing to carry you through Hell. Look at what I'm doing on my speedruns. I'm getting items at like level 5 sometimes, and I carry that item through the entire game. I'm like, this is what I'm gonna wear, or I'll put on my stealth armor. Let's go to like a stealth really fast. I made this at level 17, and then I went and beat the whole game wearing this. and wearing this, level 27. This is level 35 required. This I made at level 21. This I got at level 14, or I could have had. This is 24 to light res level 13 required. I probably had that pretty early. This one I probably got in like Nightmare or something. These I might have gotten from Hell Andy or something, but it could have been Nightmare. You know, a lot of these items aren't GG items in that it's like, oh, I need to have Enigma and I need to have Hodo to beat the game. A lot of people think that. It's not true. So what do you want to focus on? One, you want to focus on your breakpoints. You want to focus on your resistances. And you want to focus on getting your skills up for your damage and stuff. So where do I find a lot of this gear? Honestly, my favorite thing to do on a character like this is this right here. Let's see if I got the waypoint. I didn't. I'll just go this way. I come here. I go to the endurance level 2. I make sure I have the waypoint. Which obviously I don't right now, but you know, let's just pretend that I have the waypoint. And I go kill Mephisto over and over and over. Because if I have the waypoint, and I can reset the maps, you know, if I'm in hell especially, I can reset the maps to whatever I want. Let me just, this obviously isn't a great map. But, you know, let's pretend like I have a really good map. I can do this right here. Come here, drag him here, come over here. And okay, we've got to deal with these guys being annoying. What are my hotkeys set to? Oh, this is a frozen orb source. All right, well, we can just do frozen orbs. If you're Blizzard, you can just stand cross. Otherwise, you can come here and fight. My resistances are good enough that I can fight this, right? And I can just go back and forth on Mephisto, or I can do the just jump across. Council's worse than Mephisto. Yeah, the Council's kind of annoying. So if they're a bad spawn, I could once again reset until I get a better spawn for the Council. And just come over here, kill Mephisto, put some MF on maybe, and maybe he drops something good, right? Mephisto has an amazing loot table. So you can find all sorts of really, really good items, including like that Viper Magi and all sorts of stuff like that, doing these sorts of runs, right? You can find all sorts of goodies by just doing Mephisto runs right there over and over and over. And it's really fast. You could also do Nightmare Chaos if you want. Whatever it is, you can just run around, do 100, 150 runs. I'm sure in that time you'll find gloves, you'll find rings, you'll find boots, you'll find amulets, helms, armors that are going to give you things that you want. If you're looking for a very solid armor, I would recommend Stealth. This is a simple, easy, you can do normal Countess to get those runes. You can buy a 2 open socket gray armor. Make sure it's gray, not Mechanics blue. From Charcy. Faster cast rate, faster hit recovery, faster run walk. That's super beautiful, right? You can make a lore helm. So look up your low level rune words because those are great. Ancient's Pledge and or Rhyme Shield. 2 great shields to use. 2 absolutely great shields to use. So there's a lot of easy rune words to make, and you get these 3 runes just from doing the second quest in Hell, right? You find the soldiers, or in any any difficulty. You do the find the soldiers, you get these 3 runes, you just go get a 3 open socket shield from Charcy or Farah, boom. You have a Ancient's Pledge now with 48 res, 48 res, 43 res. So good. So easily like that, I can just use a few rune words and have GG gear. But additionally, I could find a Viper Magi, which is better. I could find that Razor Switch, right? You can tell that Zabi has farmed a little bit and found some good gear. This is an amazing item. This is a great item as well. +1 to skills, good resistances, right? He could still find better boots and gloves, but I like his idea. Faster unwalk, hit recovery, cold res, light res. The poison and, you know, the whatever, like I said, these could be replaced, but he's still going for some resistances. And even in his offhand, this is a pretty darn good orb right here, right? 2 to sorceress skills. That's going to help with the damage. Plus, it gives him something like Nova, Lightning, Hydra that he can use to fight the Ancients with if he just wants to stick purely in one spec. What he could have done is put a few less points into Cold Bolt, Ice Blast, and Ice Bolt, and he could have put those into Nova if he wanted, you know, to boost that more. Or he could have done like Fireball and just had a little bit of Fireball damage. Or could have gone to Firewall and put a couple points there and 1 in Fire Mastery. Right? He could have had a little bit more spec for that, but he went all cold, so, you know, having this is nice. So you just come around and find this sort of stuff like this. And honestly, like I said, Nightmare Mephisto, Nightmare Chaos runs, those are probably going to be your best places to, and even Nightmare Bale runs, honestly. Those are your best places. Just kill them over and over and over. It might take a few times, but if you're not feeling as confident as somebody like me going into hell, right? I'm like, I'm level 49 with no gear. I'm going to go to hell, right? A lot of people don't feel great at that point. They're like, I want to be level 70. Go to level 70, take your time, get some okay gear, and then you can work your way through. And a big thing, like I said before, get the breakpoints. He has 30, 60, 70 faster cast rate, which means he hits that 63 breakpoint, which is really, really good, right? If he didn't have this, now he's on that 37. That's a little bit more difficult, right? That's going to be a little bit harder for him. So getting to that point where he could have that 70, and that's why I like having stealth there, unless you can find a Skin of the Viper Magi or something, right? Otherwise, I'm running for that 20 faster cast rate orb. That's why you see me using this. You're like, Mr. Llama, that's garbage. It doesn't have any plus skills or anything on it. It doesn't, but I have 40 or 25, 35, 45. Oh, I never found another faster cast rate piece. So in this game, what I could have actually done is if I had another orb that was only 10 faster cast rate, I could have just put that there. Wait, no, I needed 20 because I needed at 37. So this 20 right here gets me to the 37 faster cast rate breakpoint. So I'm not at the 63, but I'm at the 37, and that's way better than being at the 20 or whatever, right? I don't want to be that low in it. So get to where you need to be with your breakpoints, and this gets me there, and that's more important than +1 to skills or something of that nature. Is there an attack speed breakpoint for melees? Yes, there is. There is a calculator online that will give you all the calculation you need to see how many frames you have for your attack speed, for whatever weapons you're using, skills you're using, if you're laying traps. There's a whole thing with all that stuff. So that kind of runs through the YouTube questions that I picked out and kind of prepared for this point. So now, how does one find out the breakpoints? You can just, if you look up Diablo 2 breakpoints, literally, you can type that in. You can find the breakpoints for every single character. And I prefer looking up like the D2JSP ones because it's a little easier to read. So let me go over here. I've got a window capture. Let me do this, right? So like here is somebody who's listed out some of the breakpoints right here. That's good enough, right? So here you can see this is for faster hit recovery. You have a breakpoint. I guess we should define that. Diablo 2 runs at 25 frames per second. This is built into the game. If I go right here, can I do it in single player? Yeah, and type /FPS, I'm not going to get more than 25 FPS ever. Ever. That's never going to happen, right? 25 FPS. On multiplayer, it might say more than that, but the game itself is literally built on 25 frames per second. So when I sit here and I come out here and I cast, it is taking X frames for every time that I cast. So at that point, I can literally scroll down to the sorceress, and it says, okay, at 37 and I'll bring this up. At 37 faster cast rate, I am casting every 10 frames. At 20 faster cast rate, I'm casting at every 11 frames. So once again, let's look really quickly. This is what 37 looks like. And this is what 20 looks like. Right? And then if I went up to 63, which is the next breakpoint and gets me down to 9, you'll see even more of a difference. Right? So this is how fast, how many frames it's taking per cast of whatever it is. Or if I'm going into hit recovery, how many frames it's taking for me to recover to get back to doing whatever it is. Okay? So if I go up here once again, you can just come and Google these numbers, and you can look up and say, okay, faster hit recovery for an Amazon at 0%, it takes 11 frames when she gets hit. For a druid, and he has different things for what he's hit by because he's kind of weird, or if he's in a different form, how many frames it takes, right? And then we go to like a sorceress, and at 0%, it's 15 frames. She's terrible. If she gets hit, she's like, ugh, you know, like, oh, it's horrible, right? Druid is 14 frames, or 13 if hit by any other weapon besides one-handed or two-handed, blah, 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 whatever, right? Regardless, he's also pretty bad in that regard. And this is also why I said the druid's pretty bad overall. His faster cast rate frames, it takes 18 frames for him to cast something. That's like, that's almost a full second for him to cast something, because it's 25 FPS. So at 0% faster cast rate, it's 18 frames. Then you come down to someone like a sorceress. At 0, it's 13 frames. That's a big... You guys saw the difference between 11, 10, and 9. You guys just watched a 2-frame difference. Those characters start off with a 5-frame difference. So the sorceress is like, bow, bow, bow. And the druid's like, huh, huh. I mean, it's like really exaggerated between those. Right? And here you can see the sorceress using lightning or chain lightning is even slower. And this is why I've talked about when I was doing some of that swap casting, which is for the pro day, but whatever. That's why I was swap casting out into one of these skills, because I was getting down to using 8 frames per second instead of 12 frames per second. Right? Or 12 frames per cast. So everything from your block rate, your cast rate, your hit recovery, all 3 of those have breakpoints in the game. Other things do not. Faster run walk, your magic find, your gold find, all of those things are on a like diminishing return scale. But faster block rate, faster cast rate, faster recovery, and then also your attack speed have breakpoints. And your attack speed, like I said before, has to deal with what weapon you're using, and what skills you have active, and your base attack speed, all sorts of stuff, right? There's a lot of... So use a calculator for that one if you want to know that stuff. So that right there kind of covers all of the questions that we got right there. Like I said, if you want a question featured in the next Noobie Tuesday, if I see something good, by the way, thank you, Nick Squirt. It was $5. Lucky if I not change it to oh, thanks, Nick. I appreciate the message. I will turn alerts back on. Now we can kind of jump back into the more casual piece as we get into a Twitch Q&A for this. So I'm just going to kind of rapid fire on some questions and with some answers. So in chat, if you have a question about Diablo 2, about anything in regards to builds or what should I use or getting through it, whatever it is with Diablo 2, post it in chat, and then I will just answer that question, and we can just kind of have a quick little boom, boom, boom. What is the best way to find and digest information not directly available in game, e.g. runewords, crafted items, things like that? Ariat Summit. Ariat Summit, or my channel, obviously, right? You can ask in my Discord, !Discord stuff. But the Ariat Summit is, if you just type it in, it's the official, like, Blizzard's Battle.net owned area where they have all the information. That's your best place to go find all of that stuff. Is farming a Nightmare viable? Completely. Farming a Nightmare, especially Nightmare Mephisto. His loot tables are great. Nightmare Bale is also very solid, and the Chaos. Those are very solid areas to farm. You can get up to like level 75 and still get okay experience doing like Bale runs there and getting good farming. There's a lot of good items that are in that spot. Need help how to survive in hell with a summon mancer. Hide behind your summons? Is that try and use more maybe like decrepify and stuff, I would say, to slow down monsters that are trying to attack you, so it's a little harder for them. Maybe more life tap. Try and play around maybe with some of that stuff. Or bone prisoning maybe even to just kind of silo things off so it's a little easier. Why is Summon Necro ultimate D2 character for any situation? Yeah. What's a healthy amount of D2 per day? I mean, like 12 hours, something like that. How do you know where to go to get the lower/upper levels for maps? Durance of Hate, Catacombs, etc. Is it blindly teleporting, or is there specific things you look for? So if you are in like the Catacombs or the Durance or something, you look for specific map patterns. So here I'm going to be looking towards this bottom left area. That's why you'll see I didn't explore up here, because I know this waypoint is right here.
I will start off this Q&A session.
Oh, thank you, Nick.
If I find ethereal 172% Titan's Revenge and a dwarf star on my Hell Amazon hardcore run.
Oh my God! Wow.
Should I be careful when crossing any Act 1 bridges?
Ignore that question. Is it true you should not bring up the gamble screen? So yeah, so maps, certain maps have directions that you should follow. It's not always guaranteed, but it gives you you know which way things tiles face at least. I'm going to have a guide on that later. Is it true you should not bring up the gamble screen often?
Love you.
As if the item is, thank you, Robson. As if the item is displayed as unique and you don't buy it, it's gone forever. What? No. Never heard that before. What is one of the more obscure things that we might not know, such as energy giving you a chance for ramp pots to be twice as effective? Life gives you that as well. +2 strength gives you increased damage, but for mauls and hammers, it gives you 1.1% extra damage. So you get, instead of 1% damage. So mauls and hammers get a slight extra buff from having more strength points. How does that sound? I just learned that from Ubio. How many times have you activated gem? Thousands. If you were to add new crafting, what would it be? Oh, jeez. I don't know. Maybe crafting something that would open up more endgame content. Best aura for Zeal. You're going to want to use Holy Fire early and then Fanaticism later, I'd say. Are you old? You've been playing since it was released and you were 18 then? Yeah, you're super old. Is there a build that can't beat the game? No, because you could always get a mercenary that could solo the game. I could stand here and get my mercenary to be strong enough where he could solo it. But it might take you a year. How do you get past lightning being wall you hit once you get to the hell on lightning Javazon? Either find javelins that have enough physical damage, like Titans, where you can just whittle away with them, or literally run past it, or spring in a little bit of like a bow, right? If you can get the bow that shoots exploding arrows or something, excuse me, that could be really good. Where are my ban buttons? I don't know. What is the best way to do rune farming in online gameplay? Lower Kuros is the best place offline, but what about online? Cows, Chaos Sanctuary, Lower Kuros, Travancore. Do all 4 of those every game, and you'll do really well. Personal all-time favorite unique item. It's probably now Death Fathom, just because I'm like, oh, I love it so much. Going back though, probably Oculus, Grandfather, or Wind Force, one of those 3, or Shaco. It was an old school. I loved those. Just use CE. That's true for the Necro. At 3 health source, 60 fast gas rate, 60 cold res, or 100 fast gas rate, 105, 20 cold res. It depends how good you are, honestly. If you're not as good, go 63, 60, and then be slower. If you're better, go 105, 20, and dodge more, you know. Best player's difficulty to farm Hell Mephisto. Players 3 is probably the best difficulty, unless you can kill him on a higher player's level. Thank you, Shades.
Something lem first IO.
You need to put more points into summon resist and use life tap. Yeah, that's helpful. Summon resist is always good. There's a way to save of a character only the map. You can look and see what your map seed is by looking in the files, and then you could input that seed into your properties when you open the game up, and it'll start with that seed if you want. Blizzsaurus Merce, Treachery or Fortitude? Toss up, honestly. I prefer Fortitude. Other people prefer Treachery and I mean, you get back and forth, you know, whatever you want. They're both good. How worth it is it to gamble? For crafting, if you're trying to get items within a specific eye level or something, go for it. If you're trying to find a GG item, good luck. But if you got a lot of extra gold, it can be fine.
Okay, since my first question was
how's
too
Ancient
difficult
Tunnels
for you
and
to
Pimbleskin
answer,
and Nightmare?
I'll ask a way easier.
Probably okay.
One, since
I've never
you
farmed
are a
them in Nightmare.
professional, how the heck do I alter the brightness on my monitor? You have 4 hours to answer.
Dude, you're killing me right now. If I sent you a couple of my rules for worst builds run, could you give me some feedback? Like what can make it more difficult? I could always make it more difficult for you. How do I know if Endario likes you? She's taken by me. It's my girl. Which character is the most gear dependent? Barbarian. Here's our question about the gamble vendors. If you sell an armor, you will not get an armor tab.
Join my
What?
army of the dead.
How do I shock web?
How do you shock web? You just cast it. Just cast it. How do you swap cast? By being exactly precise on how you set things up. So here I've set the skill that I want to swap cast over. Here I'm going to be doing something like this. And if I'm frame perfect in it, I got to go, wait, where am I? Okay, here. No, wait, this one has to be there. There you go. So now I'm using frozen armor for teleporting. So you set up whatever skill you want to be on, then you go to the alternate, and then in a perfect, like they both have to go at the exact same time just about. You swap your weapon back. I have a guide on it if you want more. Oridon for Uber, worth it? Oridon? No, just get a smiter. Are there any good two-handers to make a no-shield Zeller viable? I've run a no-shield Zeller before. You could use like a grandfather or something fun like that. I think they're actually pretty fun. For sure. Oh, is there a way of going on a date with far as a paladin? No. Oh my god. What's your favorite item? Can't be Tyraels. I just gave my favorite 3 there. Passes on, can still beat the game. Valkyrie is amazing. So true. Can you stay hydrated in D2? You should. You should try. How to maximize traps damage. Is cast speed important as attack speed? Cast speed means nothing for a trap assassin. It's all her throwing traps is based on attack speed. Should I keep throwing traps or stop at a certain number? She can only lay down 5 lightning traps or I mean 5 traps for the lightning or fire ones, whatever. Not like her, fire trap, but her like a wake of fire and stuff or lightning sentries. So you can only put 5 down at a time. So you put 5 down, wait for them to expire. If you're doing fire though, only put 2 down. If you're doing them for the same monster, because they have a thing called next hit delay, where when it gets hit by something like the fire trap, the monster can't take damage from anything that's next hit delay, like any other spell that has next hit delay as well. And you can look those up online, which ones do. And I think it's like 4 frames. So for 4 frames, and usually when you have 2 of them going, that's enough to do a max damage on him. If you tried to keep going up and it's the same monster, he's going to be a next hit delay all the time, and only like 2 of them will matter. Is there a place we can find loot tables for each boss by difficulty? I use a thing called Silos Pen to kind of look up wherever I want. You can just Google that. How to tell the difference between 5 and 6? I still don't know. Does magic find effect gambling? No. No, it's a built-in odds. When's the segmented speedrun coming? I've never wanted to do one, really. Craziest D2 dream I've had? I've dreamed a lot of D2. A lot. Usually it's world record speedrunning. Would you do a dumb build race with Teo, for instance, Poison Dagger Necro versus Double Throw Barb? That just sounds so dumb. Probably not. Best areas in hell for a cold source to magic find. You're going to look at in the mausoleum, in the burial grounds. You can run Endariel. You can run the Ancient Tunnels, which is one of my favorites to run. You can do some lower Kurust. Obviously, you're not killing anything there, really. You can do Chaos, but you have to be concerned, of course, of Desace. And you can do some Bale runs, but you have to watch for Wave 2 and or certain different monsters. So you need to have a good enough Mercenary if you want to do that stuff. So those are the ones that I like. Or Pendle runs. When are we doing more World Record runs? World Record Wednesday starts tomorrow. Diablo Daily number 3. Have you tried getting to hell on your phone? No. I have not played Diablo 2 on my phone. Should I focus on max block for Pally or just Vita? I like max block because with Holy Shield it doesn't take a lot of investment, and he also has really good recovery from his block. Like his block right there is amazing. Let's bring that up actually. Where did I put that? No. Go back. Okay. So let's go down to faster block rate. Paladin with Holy Shield. At 0% block rate, 2% at 86% block rate, or 1 frame. It's kind of amazing, his faster block rate with Holy Shield. So I always am a fan of it on the Paladin. Kind of amazing. Have I done a gamble character with gold find? I think I did a gamble only character, right? Didn't I? I think I did a gamble only Barb. How many pies can one man take to face in one night during MVS? After about 10, I was really tired of the pies. Especially as it got later. Is there a co-op category in speedrunning? There's not. It's just not very fun online, unfortunately. Plus realm downs and all sorts of things like that. We always run into issues. Cool merce builds. I mean, just your standards. You just want them to have a good life, life leech, damage, resistances, whatever. You just want to stack them to be solid. So you're generally running Fort or Tretch, Endariel's Helm, or, some sort of whatever, helmet. You could run COA on him if you wanted. You can run, what's the name of it? The Grim Helm. I think it's the Grim Helm. With the life leech and mana leech, whatever it's called. Vamp Gaze. Is that a Grim Helm? I really feel like it's not now. I think it's one more up. Oh, it's just the Vampire Gaze. So yeah, it is Grim Helm. Perfect. You're only running for world records once a week now? No. So World Record Wednesday has world records. I do analysis. I do a world record run. Thursday morning, I'll do world record runs. Friday, Saturday, what I can do, I'll do lots
Nightmare
of world record
Act 2
runs.
Merc. When do you want a defensive versus an offensive Merc?
Thank you for the cheer, Derp. Defensive versus offensive. So I think a lot of characters want to run a Nightmare defensive because Holy Freeze. I only really like running an offensive Merc there to get the combat, or to get that Might Aura, right? I only really want to get that Might Aura if I am running something that does cold damage, such as my Cold Sorceress. Ooh. Thank you, Mr. Jonesy. When's the next Cheers might find? I don't know. Hopefully soon, right? What kind of Merc did you recommend for a cold source? Like I said, I like this Merc for a cold source because I don't need cold anymore. You can double stack it, sure, because Holy Freeze Aura is a different kind of cold. It's a chill instead of a freeze, and those are separate things, so they'll both stack. But it doesn't really matter in my case. I feel like one or the other is good enough. Blizzard just confirmed Diablo 2 mobile battle royale coming out this year. God, kill me. What hero is the most OP? Paladin. Act 5 Lawbringer. Yeah, that is actually good. You could get a Lawbringer on Act 5 Merc, and that'd be a solid one for farming. How do I feel about using Hero Editor? I only use it if I'm trying to I never use any of the items for anything that I actually use. It's just like if I want to test something for, would a sing bar be good? I might hero edit in to go test it. What's the best PvP character against all? What's IO? I don't know what IO is. Not sure. In your opinion, best PvP character. I don't know if I did enough PvP. Maybe the stupid Hammertons that would also charge, so they would like glitch it so you couldn't see them. They'd like lag the servers charging a bunch, and then they'd hammer right on you or something. It's kind of cheap, but whatever. There's actually a co-op record on a speedrun website. Oh, there is. Okay, cool. What are the benefits of Act 3 Merces? They are ranged and elemental damage, and you can get one that does cold. So I never use it in a serious context, but in speedrunning, sometimes good. Sorry for the yawns. What was your very first character? It was a necromancer who I put all the points into summon skeleton. Nothing else. No mastery or anything like that. Just summon skeleton and summon skeleton mages and a golem. I just want a big army. And he sucked. He never got out of like Act 1 or 2 in normal, because obviously I put nothing else but that. Can you find builds with Act 3 Merces? Not really. Where do you go when you go away? Hawaii. Any way to beat the game with light source when you don't have infinity? Yes, but it's tough. You're going to need a decent mercenary for sure, because you're still going to have to be able to kill like Maddock and stuff, right? Crown of Thieves, Vamp Gaze, yeah, Vamp Gaze, that was it. That was it for sure. Why would you give your Merc Treachery in the armor slot? Increased attack speed, chance for fade, chance for venom, faster hit recovery, resistances. It's a solid piece. Fade is really, really good though, especially if you just go out and let it proc on him or whatever. He'll be super tanky and can do really good damage with it as well. That venom's solid. Might Aura GG for summoners too. So true. Can you show off full Trang set? I don't think I have it on any character that could be viable. Let me see if I have a Hell Necromancer. Nope. This is the only place that I would have it. When Battle.net layers be reset? May or November. So usually the end of May or November. They did like early December last time, so it might be early June this time. Cavs or Raptors? Can we just not have the Cavs in the finals again? Cavs and Golden State. Please, not again. Barb versus Caster. Barbs with Beast and Grief. That's nice. Those are fun. What NPC do you identify most with? I don't know. Maybe Jeed. Can you show off Delirium and Full Trangs? Like I said, I don't have either of those. I'd have to hero edit them in and stuff. Ever consider a throw assassin? The throwing star skill. Yeah, it's actually not bad. I was surprised. I thought it would be complete garbage. It's not great, but it's not bad. You can actually do okay with it. I have a video where I played through in an 8-man and I did Blade Assassin. It was okay. If I deleted my Viper Match then remade one with Hero Editor, am I a cheater? Well, why'd you delete it? How long have you had your pluggy character Magic? Year and a half? Longer? How much better is a level? Whenever a character levels up, they get things that are unique to that character within that level up. So such as, if I'm a Amazon, I think gets like +3 to life every time that she levels up and stuff. So each level will give you additional stats, plus you get the additional skill point, the additional stat points for more. So it's pretty good to level up. And you can also use more stuff. Can you explain why Fade is good? Fade is great because it gives you resistances, like a lot of resistances for a decent amount of time, and it also gives you damage reduction, and that's hidden, like that physical damage reduction. So you won't see that it gives it to you, but you can look up online and see how much it gives per level.
Yawns made me tired. I hope there is no pop quiz next time. D have fun until tomorrow.
Sorry, Lastly. Thanks so much. Viable lightning source build. If you check recently in my VODs, I made this character into a lightning sorceress. And it was pretty decent. What do you use golden gems for later in levels? Crafting. Crafting and repairing and things like that. You aren't really socketing gems in much later on. If you can add an item to the game, what would we call them? What are the stats? God. I'd probably add in something for a melee character. That would be earlier on in the game and maybe give some sort of decent melee boost. I don't know. Maybe an early crushing blow item, honestly. You know, like a level 14 rune word that gives 10% chance crushing blow and something. Kind of where a steel would be, you know, similar to that, but it has some crushing blow in it. Just to help melee characters out a little bit. Does Storebart have any potential? Yeah, it's okay. Can you elaborate more on the Act 2 Might Merce with the cold source? Sounds like Might helps cold damage. It doesn't at all. The Might aura is purely for him. I'm just saying I don't need the cold aura from him anymore because I'm doing the cold damage and I'm freezing everybody. So the Might aura is just so he does more damage himself. How much better is a leveled Merce versus a fresh pop Merce? Been leveling one since normal, but I'm leveling now. You want to buy a different one. Leveling it doesn't matter. Royal, mwah, thank you. Leveling it doesn't matter, but a normal mercenary versus a hell mercenary, the normal mercenary is going to have better stats, I believe. So you should always hire from normal or nightmare, not from hell, if I'm not mistaken. But growing it yourself doesn't matter. I think it used to in old patches, but not now. How much further is green? I don't know what that means. If you were to add a plot to this story arc, what would it be? What would Act 6 be? You would be in heaven, fighting with the angels, which I think probably happened in D3. I don't even remember. What's the best player's number to farm Mephisto in single player? 3. How come you have Stash Tab in your Holy Grail source? So I can hold all of her stuff, right? Because I'm trying to hold all the items in the game. So it's my trophy case. Oh, it's nice. Gotcha. 1 damage reduction per level. Yeah, for Fade. You get 1 DR per level. So Fade from Treachery is level 15. So you're getting 15 physical damage reduction there. How many elements does it take to make a Zod when cubed? It's like a billion or a trillion. One of those two numbers. It's really, really high up there. Who needs Wiki when MrLlama exists? There you go. Could you do a really quick rundown on how magic is built? Here's her gear. She's built for magic finding right now. And then on her off, she's got her CTA and her Ist. She runs at 105 faster cast rate, 502 MF, 632 on her off. She's running for fire damage with the low fire mastery, maxed out blizzard and all the specs there, and the 111 typical. So that's how she's running right now, but I also have her run lightning sometimes. Depends what I'm doing. Can every class use teleport with items? Yes. What charm should I keep and which can I throw away for a melee character? Max damage, AR, those ones are really nice. Plus to life is really nice. You can toss away, you know, anything that's like a couple attack rating. Poison res, I don't really care about. You know, a lot of plus to strength and dex. I trash all those things as well. Much rather you have lifers and things of that nature there. Is there an entire video on YouTube? Yeah, for the lightning stuff there is. You don't have to fight the angels in D3. Oh, okay, well that'd be cool. Like you're doing a D2 community, I guess I'll do you next month. Hey, thank you so much, Sergeant. That's how many it takes, Frank? Well, there you go. When is Diablo 3 released? Hopefully soon. We'll never know. Can other class get teleport? No, but they can get it from items, like we said. Whether it's charges on a staff or amulet or a ring. Can a ring have those charges? Maybe staff or amulet. Maybe a ring can. Or obviously Enigma. How does damage reduction stat work? It's just physical damage reduction. So if I have 50% physical damage reduction, you hit me for 200 damage, I take 100 damage. Are there any good large charms? No. The only stat that's better on a large charm than anything else is like +5 to strength or +5 to dexterity or whatever. So in the mid game, using some large charms can be nice, sure, but you know, I guess here is the best large charm. There's one large charm is good. Other than that, you're always going to have skillers with life or awesome small charms. Did you max synergies before Cold Mastery? So I run a low Cold Mastery because I have Conviction. This is very specific to this character. Thank you, Cybernetic. Mwah. Because of Conviction, that's -76%, I believe, that I'm getting from that. -76% plus 85 is 161. And that's more than pretty much any monster is going to have in terms of resistances. So as long as he's there and I'm there, we're killing everything really easily. So it's no point for me to put more points there. If I don't have Infinity, I am taking out points here and putting here because Cold Mastery is more beneficial than synergies. Up to a certain degree, right? Because you can't drop them beyond so much. How long to build the sorcery you play in? A long time. If Llama is a character class, what would its skills be? Win the game would just be a skill. You just click it, you use it once, and you go, oh, and it says you won. Diablo died. Why is poison so much worse than other resistances? Because nothing poison, with the exception of like down in Nilithak's place or Uber and Dariel Lady, whatever her name technically is, I forget, Lilith. Besides those poison instances, poison really, it's a slow ticking damage. So if something hits you for poison, you don't just go pop, right? As opposed to cold, fire, light. If something hits you with a fireball and you have -50 fire res, you just fall over and die. Does plug allow free respecs? Yeah, it does. It's right here. You just click that. Or if you have your character up, you can press Alt and you can take points out and then put them how you want. Run walk charms. I like run walk charms. Obviously not on this character, but for some characters I like them. Flamas, you did that already. Yeah, it gives monsters down to negative. Once again, everything is from -100 all the way up to a +100 resistances, at which point it becomes immune, and then you have to break that immunity with something. And this cannot be used for breaking immunities, by the way. Favorite side quest? Tough one. I don't know if I have a favorite side quest. I don't know. I like this one because Israel gives you +2 skills. So maybe that. Let's see. What if Frozen Orb was a fireball shooting fire bolts? I think they did that in that epic new whatever game that they have. I swear I watched a trailer and they had like a fireball Frozen Orb. I was like, wow, what a copy. Blood Raven, yeah. Nah, she's too tanky. She doesn't do enough damage and she's too tanky, so it's just like, and she runs around too much. What still gives experience at level 98? Nilithak, Bale, and Diablo. That's it. Is D2 harder on acid? I don't know. Is he pretty cool? Yeah, he's solid. He just has so much. Wait, that's not it. This is the usual quest. I was clicking on the wrong quest. This is Izzy. That was the Hellforge, which is also cool. So, how to break immunity. Low resistance or conviction. Those are the only two ways, or combined. If both combined don't work, then it's impossible. Cannot be broken. And there we go. We got through the list. Wow. GG. Well done, everybody. I have not read the books. Llamas, obviously, brute. Harry sat down and calculated how many Diablo bell runs it would take to reach level 99 from a current level. Yeah, it's probably about 4,000 bell runs or something left. Easy clap. You should use your imbue quest on superior white diadems. Yeah, some people like to do that. So, with that being said, I'll continue streaming a little bit after this, but we can close out Noobie Tuesday, Diablo Daily number 2. Thank you everybody on YouTube who is hanging out, and anybody who is hanging out right here. and enjoyed it. Ask some questions, whatever not. Like I said before, you can pop comments down below if you have any questions. I'll answer it. Other people will answer it. And if I think it's a good enough question that other people wish to hear as well, I'll bring it on for next week. So join us tomorrow for Diablo Daily number 3. Once again, ! schedule, or the schedule down below in the YouTube channel that I'll put down there. We'll have what we have coming up. I can even put the Diablo schedule over there. Boom! Wha-cha! Look at that. Magic Find Mondays, Noobie Tuesdays, World Record Wednesdays coming up tomorrow, and Pro Thursdays. All of these are going to be at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday, every week until I get bored of it or something like that. So, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace. All right, cool. Yo.